GeoGuessr is one of those games that just scratches every single part of my brain. You're dropped somewhere completely random in the world and then suddenly you're trying to figure out exactly where you are using whatever clues are available to you. It forces you to become this detective, scanning for tiny details, road signs, anything that might give you an edge or an advantage. At the same time, you feel like this worldly traveler where knowing one small random fact about a place could make a huge difference. Icelandic road markers, Malaysian stop signs, Romanian highway symbols, they start to matter way more than you ever thought they would. So let's watch a round that I played earlier and then go back over the footage, do some Googling, tear it apart, work out what I missed, and hopefully learn some interesting things that I never knew before. And we are going to play some arbitrary world. Oh, this is arbitrary. Okay, very sandy. Very flat. Thinking South Africa. That truck's also giving me a bit of a South African vibe. It is very flat. There is not much going on around here. Where's the sun? Sun is in the north, so yeah, southern hemisphere tracks. Did you see these little... Oh no, is that attached to my car? No. No, there's another one. So we've got this little white post with a little red top on it. I'm not familiar with that. I don't know if that's any region-specific place. Could be, but it's not somewhere that I know. Right, let's try and get down here, see if we can find any sign of civilization. Junction 2. The Kopi feels South African, that. A bit of a Dutch. Pierre and Rochelle van Niekerk. Don't know what that means. I'm assuming it's a place name. Gecko Ridge. Gecko Ridge. It could also be Namibia. We've got this just... Is that a water well? I think it might be. Right, Gecko Ridge. Let's just have a little scout over here. I think it's going to be much smaller though. I can't see it actually turning up on a map. But at the moment, like this big flat area, this could work around here. Also got a lot of Dutch names around this neck of the woods. Over here maybe? Smithfield. I'm seeing some... Oh gosh, we've only got 10 seconds. I'm going towards Namibia. I'm splitting the difference. I'm going on the east of South Africa. Let's see. And it was Namibia. Near Swakopmund and Rossing. Not seeing a Gecko Ridge anyway. Oh, Gecko Ridge. Oh, it's just the name of a hotel. That sort of makes sense, I suppose. But yeah, it was Namibia, not South Africa. 873 kilometers away, 3,119 points. I'll be honest, I am slightly embarrassed that I spent all that time scouring for a town called Gecko Ridge, but that is GeoGuessr in a nutshell. The things that you think are important often aren't, and the things that pass you by are often the biggest clues. But by the end of this video, you'll have seen that I actually had many clues directly in front of me, and I just didn't use them correctly. Now, where actually were we? Well, we were in a little place called Rossing, just outside Swakopmund, near Walvis Bay on Namibia's coast, within the Erongo region. Now, Walvis Bay is one of the most recognizable parts of Namibia's coastline, with Pelican Point stretching out into the Atlantic. It is the home of the country's only natural deepwater harbour, which makes it pretty important to anyone in the area with a boat. Now, one useful GeoGuessr tip here is that Namibia's urban areas do vary quite a bit. Windhoek, the capital city, feels much more inland and urban and boxed in, whereas coastal places like Swakopmund or Walvis Bay are built to deal with wind and salt and sand and coastal erosion, and so the architecture does really reflect that. One of the biggest clues that we found was this sign, Oppikopi, and I'll be honest, I did go down a bit of a rabbit hole with this one. There's barely any information about the place online itself, and looking at recent satellite imagery, it still does appear to be undeveloped, but it's the name that is the interesting part. It comes from Afrikaans, Oppikopi, meaning on the hill. Now, a little side note, in researching this video, I found that there is actually a music festival in Limpopo province in South Africa called Oppikopi, and as you might have guessed, it does take place on the side of a big hill. And I was looking at their Wikipedia page to sort of get a feel for the artists and the vibe of the music there, and I can't help but feel bad for whoever played in 2003, because listed on the page, no notable artists that year. Absolutely brutal. We also came across this sign for a place called Gecko Ridge, the hotel. And I went on booking.com and it does look quite nice. But one thing that I cannot get over is what they've put on the wall in this room. I've spent far too long looking at this, trying to figure out what it is. Is it an animal, or was it an animal, a mineral, or some kind of abstract art piece? I don't know. I'm not going to fly over there. It's a 16, nearly 17-hour flight. But if anyone's been there or works there, please let me know what this thing is. Now, we did also spot this water well, or I think it's a water well. Part of me also thinks that it could be, because of its obelisk shape, some sort of boundary marker. But the red thing on top really does make me think it's some sort of a plumbing fitting. And a water well would make sense, as Namibia is the driest country in sub-Saharan Africa, and surface water is rare. Up to 85% of rainfall evaporates every single year. So groundwater wells are essential, which means I'm going to call this a well. Now, we also saw these white bollards with red tops, and I couldn't find anything specific online about this particular type of bollard, but Namibia does have two well-known unique bollard types. There are these what I think are plastic semicircle white pipes, or these white small book-shaped stones that you'll often find near intersections. If you stumble across either of these, much more likely that you're in Namibia. So I wanted to see what the local industry was like in Rossing and Swakopmund, and I'll be honest, I found something that I did not expect to see. Rossing is home to the world's largest open-air uranium pit mine. And this thing is massive. It's huge. It's this giant geometric crater producing over 3,000 tons of uranium oxide a year. And just south of it, a slightly smaller mine. And then just south of that, this giant, enormous, slightly terrifying pit of red liquid, which is the Hasub Tailings Dam. And I'm not sure what uranium tailings are. I'm not sure if I want to know, but Thomas Quetze gave it a 5-star review, and thanks, Tom, because, yeah, I'm glad you checked it out, because I'm not going there. But then just south of the uranium tailings mine is the last thing I ever expected to see: a campsite next to a open-air uranium mine. A campsite. That is a bold location choice. A very you can't sleep there. You can't. You cannot sleep there. You can't. Maybe you can. Now, next to Rossing, slightly bigger, we have this place called Swakopmund, which looks surprisingly German, and that's because Namibia was a German colony until 1915, and then in 1915 they left for reasons that you can probably guess. But what blew my mind about Swakopmund was its size and scale. It is the 4th largest population centre in Namibia, yet there are just 25,000 residents, which sounds tiny until you realise that the entire population of Namibia is about 3.1 million people, and that it's actually one of the most sparsely populated countries in the world. Swakopmund's southern neighbour, Walvis Bay, is the 2nd largest city with 100,000 people. Now, there is one key Namibia clue or meta that I did completely miss. A lot of Namibia's Street View coverage was actually captured by a white pickup truck, and sometimes you can see the truck, other times it's blurred out. This map actually shows you the rough areas of where the truck is and isn't visible, but more importantly, you can see the truck's antenna, and this antenna points to the left. The problem is that whatever end of the truck this antenna's on, for most of my round, I was driving in the opposite direction. So the only time that it was actually visible on my screen, I was too busy looking at those bollards to actually notice that there was a floating truck antenna directly in the middle of my screen. And it's a painful lesson to learn, but hopefully you've all learned that painful lesson with me, but without having to take the pain yourself. And that's kind of the point of this whole channel, if I'm honest. I want you to all to just learn from my failures. So there we have it, from a slightly off guess to uranium mines, mystery wall objects, and questionable campsite locations. That is the magic of GeoGuessr and scratching that itch of curiosity. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. And if you spotted something I missed, please do let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your week, and I'll see you next time. So, Editor Joey here. Little addendum right at the end. I emailed that Gecko Ridge Hotel. I had to find out what that wooden thing was on the wall, and they sent me a very detailed, thorough reply. It is a wooden thing crafted from wood. So there we go. Now we all know. Case closed. Let's move on with our lives.